Hello, everybody. I know I am early tonight, but I will explain why as soon as we get started. Kind of wait. Oh, I guess I have to pull up the chat's right there. Okay. So I have the chat here where I can see it. Sorry if I'm a hot mess tonight. It's been one of those days. It's crazy. So I was awoken early this morning. Oh, I guess I better put the microphone in. Let's see if you can hear me better now. Put the microphone in front of my face. All right, there we go. So tell me if you can hear me better now. Hi, Julia. I'm glad you joined early. I forgot to send the text to the group so you can hear me and everything. Okay. So, hi, Amber. Hi, Denise. I think that chat is a little lagging, so I'm going to put up my phone here so I can kind of look as I do it. Okay, so I'm probably a hot mess. I've been up since about 5 this morning, so I couldn't go back to sleep, and so I've just been awake since then. And can we just say a prayer for anyone who's expecting right now or trying to conceive? Because I just feel like, I don't know, a lot of people I know, a lot of women I know have had problems conceiving. A lot of women I know are having miscarriages, and it's really sad and it's really burdensome to me. So if we could just keep all the expectant mothers, everyone that watches this show, if you guys have a prayer request that you want me to pray for, definitely email me. I have a running list for Gently Led Sisters listeners of things that I pray for. So I might do a post about it in the Facebook group and then just, let you guys know to send me a prayer request if you want me praying for it. Every time that I have my prayer time, I try to go through and pray for my Gently Led Sisters listeners and anyone that's expecting, anyone that is trying to conceive. So, Julia, maybe we can even do a post like that, just like an expectant mothers or trying to conceive post of women that we can be praying for. It's just been really, really heavy on my heart today. So anyways, I've been up since 5. We had chiropractor appointments. I went right into that couple hours of teaching piano lessons. And then my husband decided he wanted to get his taxes done today, but that's an hour one way there, an hour back. So we went and got our taxes done. That always takes a long time. Then we came right here. So I am trying to get this done early tonight so that I can go home and cuddle my babies because their sisters have been watching them most of the day. And I need to cuddle them because I'm going on a trip this week. So starting tomorrow, I'm flying out from Chicago, flying to Texas to see my sister. I've actually never visited her there, and she's lived there 10 years, which I feel really bad about. Usually she comes up here yearly, though, because most of my family lives around here. So she comes up here to see the family. But I am actually going to be going out to see her tomorrow. So I know I'm probably going to be low on live listeners tonight. So sorry that if the chat is not going to be as hopping as it usually is. I know I'm messing everyone up doing this time a whole half hour early, 40 minutes early. Sorry, guys. But I just had to get it done so I can go cuddle my baby some before I leave. It'll be a nice trip, but you know how it is as moms. Every time we take a trip or we do something by ourselves, we have that mom guilt the whole time. And I'm definitely going to have that. So when my kids were younger, I did not get many trips away by myself. I had a yearly event, volleyball camp, that I looked forward to where my husband, when he was full-time, it was not until he was full-time at the church that I started doing this. I was able to go away for about 5 days to a volleyball camp and help coach volleyball. And that was always one of my favorite weeks of the year. I loved it. It was kind of like my getaway, my recharging time, even though I was so tired and would stay up super late, talking and things like that. So this is kind of my recharging time. I tend to try to schedule a couple days away in January or February, just because it's cold out and dreary and I'm very overwhelmed and they're hard months for me because of other reasons. So I tend to do some therapeutic away time. And I think that's important because as moms, we can face burnout and it helps recharge me and get me through the rest of the year. So That's kind of why I tend to do in January, February. Hello, Raquel. We miss you. We haven't seen you guys for a while. Hoping to see you soon. Okay, so one of my, I asked for some suggestions, and I literally wrote this outline out on the way back from getting our taxes done. So, like I said, forgive me if it's not as polished as normal. I'm just a hot mess tonight. So, one of the ladies, one of Sarah, asked in the group chat or in the Facebook group if we could possibly talk about being kind, to her children, because she just wanted to do something along that topic. And being kind is definitely a good thing for women to embrace and work towards. I believe one of my favorite verses is in Proverbs 31:26. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. That is definitely one of the things that I personally try to work towards in my Christian life. And it's definitely gotten better. Mainly like in-person things. I was never really on social media until a couple of years ago, and we'll kind of get into that part of it too once we get there. But you learn as you grow older, and you learn as you've been in ministry for a really long time, which it's 21 years now for me, that you learn the art of diplomacy and the art of disagreeing with someone while remaining kind. And it is definitely possible. It is definitely possible to set boundaries and stand up for yourself without calling names, without belittling other people, without, just being a jerk about it. So it is quite possible to remain kind even while being firm and being honest, because I do believe in being honest with people as well. And most people that know me will tell you that you don't have to wonder about, where you stand with me or what my opinion is if you ask it. So, but I thought I'd go over some things. I was specifically asked about being kind to children, but I thought that I could kind of encompass the whole picture as far as home and church and social media. So I'm going to kind of go through some of those things. But let's talk first about your husband, because I truly believe that your most important relationship with anyone on this earth, as long as you are here on this earth and as long as you are married, is to your husband. Your husband is the one you start out with. Your husband is the one that you will remain with your whole natural life. Your husband is the one that you will be with after the kids are gone. So I truly believe that your husband and your relationship is the one that you need to focus on the most. And in turn, that's going to cause you to have stronger relationships with your children, because they feel very secure in that, in the fact that you and their dad have a very, very strong relationship. And there are different ways that we can be kind. We can have that law of kindness. And I like how it says, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. So when I think of this verse, I think I try to learn from it, and I try to implement this in my own life, because it didn't say, and in her tongue is kindness. It said, in her tongue is the law of kindness, which makes me think that she had put some expectations on herself. She had some lines that she went across when it came to her tongue and how she used it and how she spoke. And it talks in Proverbs 31 about how, her children rise up and call her blessed, and, she's spoken well of all over. So people speak well of her. But I love how it says, and in her tongue is the law of kindness, because in my heart, that's just, there are certain things that I try to live by, and I believe she tried to live by too. So when it comes to your husband, what are some ways that we can show that law of kindness? There are definitely actions that will have the law of kindness in them, and words that will have the law of kindness in them. I mean, even just when it comes to the tone of speaking to your husband, if your husband is like, Cassandra, and you're like, what? You give them tone, right? That's obviously not very kind. Or even when it comes to, this is my husband's favorite thing, is nagging. Not really. I don't think most husbands like a nagging wife. In a nagging wife, nagging just means you keep bringing something over and over and over again. Maybe it's something you've moved past, you fought about, you reached, apologies were given, wrongs were made right, you've moved on, and then a little later you bring it up. That could be nagging. Nagging could be, just bringing up something that needs to be done around the house, bringing it up over and over and over again. That could be nagging. Belittling. Belittling definitely does not have the law of kindness. And I truly believe as women that we hold a lot of power when it comes to how our husbands view themselves. Depending on if we give him respect or admiration, that's going to grow his love for us. I don't think there's many men that would thrive well in a marriage without having the respect and admiration of their wives. From the time that a boy is born, and yes, there are differences between the sexes, there are different hormones going on between girls and boys. And from the time that a boy is born, God puts it in that boy to have the admiration of women. Because as a little boy, who is the first one that admires him, right? It was his mom, and he was always, look, mom, look, mom. I can't remember how many times my boys said, look, mom, and they would want to show me some trick or some stunt or something that they were doing. And what do us as moms do? Oh, wow, great job. You are so awesome. There is no other little boy as great as you. You are just you're so strong. You're so, you're so handsome. Look at you. You're so smart. And we'll tell that to our boys. So why is it so hard for us to tell our husbands? As women, we're just grown-up versions of ourselves as little girls. And as grown men, they're just grown-up versions of themselves as little boys. So as a little boy, they need the admiration of their mom, which transfers into Amber, that's funny. Or look, mom, listen to me as they pass gas or something. Yes. I was always horrified though. My kids, I totally forgot about this. My sister Bethany was reminding me, but I just have never liked that. And so I trained my boys, if you're going to do that in front of mom, I'm going to make you go in the bathroom and sit on the toilet for 5 minutes. So I always did. And now, of course, they're like 20 and 19, and that doesn't fly anymore. But I totally forgot about that story. When they were little, I would make them do that. So it would make them think twice about, doing that in front of mom. So they weren't the ones that were like, hey, look at me doing this, because they knew that they were going to have to, go sit in the bathroom for a little bit or something. But I totally forgot about that. But yeah, our job as women is to build up our husbands, not tear or pluck down. And there are verses in the Bible that talk about a wise woman buildeth her house and the foolish pluck it down with her hands. I'm paraphrasing or not getting that exactly right, but that's how it goes. Now, obviously, that all has to do with our words. And I think the number one thing that I would like to instill is that there are going to be certain times in the month that are going to be easier or harder to do this. And I'm still a work in progress because, as you know, as a woman, those last few days before the end of your cycle can be really tough to keep these in check. So when I know I'm at that point, I try to, with every area that we're talking about, really be careful before I speak. Okay, I need to try, because that's when I feel like I have the most sarcastic, the mean things will come out. Even interacting with people online, you have to be careful. So sometimes during that time, that week, I just take a break from all that. I take a step back. Obviously, you can't do that with someone you live with. So you just need to be aware. You need to think, okay, I have the potential. My hormones are going crazy right now. I have the potential to say some hurtful things. So I need to just keep my mouth shut today. Or I'm in a bad mood because of this, and I know it's not rational. I know I have a good life. I know everything's fine. It's just my hormones are telling me otherwise. So I just need to be really, really careful. And when you think intentionally like that, it really helps keep things in perspective and really be careful about what you say. So that is one thing with all of this that you have to keep in mind. Just a minute, I'm going to send a message. So there are also actions, though, that have the law of kindness or don't have the law of kindness when interacting with our husbands, such as just our spirit. I mean, our husbands are really good. They've lived with us for a long time, but picking up on our spirit, and they can just walk in the house and sense it. They know if it was a bad day or it was a good day just by the spirit that is in the air. We really do set the tone of the home. And I really think, from me being married now for almost 21 years, I really believe that most men are pretty easy to please. I think that if you are a content wife and you truly respect and admire your husband and you try to build him up and you try to have a calm, peaceful home and keep his belly full, um, and you are a loving wife, I really believe most men would be happy. And they're pretty much built the same way. And I believe that if you do that as a wife, most men aren't. Now, of course, you have, I don't know, psychos out there that might not pertain to, but most men aren't psychos. So, at least from what I've seen. Now, I've pretty much been around pretty good men my whole life. I married a great man. My dad was a great man. My father-in-law is a great man. I've never been in a church where abuse has taken place. I've always been under good leadership, and my youth leaders growing up were great. My pastors have always been great. None of them turned out to be weird. So, I'm speaking from a place where I have not witnessed abuse. I do know it's out there. I'm not naive enough to think that it's not. But I think the majority of Christian men want to do right, want to do good, and their wives are very instrumental in helping that along. Just by encouraging them to be spiritual and encouraging them to lead the home, by building them up and respecting and admiring them. So I'm a firm believer in that. And then also with your actions, just how you treat him in front of the kids, that's going to go a long ways. If you want to teach your daughters to be respectful of their husbands someday, you need to be respectful in front of them. I'm not going to say that arguments are never going to happen, but they don't need to see yelling, dragging, throwing things, fights like that. They don't need to be seen. That stresses kids out really, really badly. So they don't need to see you punching a hole in the wall or kicking over a coffee table. And yes, things like that have gone on in homes, in supposed Christian homes. So they don't need to see that, and then just putting his needs first and putting aside bad moods. I try to, if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a rough day, it's been, terrible in school, maybe the hormones are going crazy, things like that. When I know my husband's home, I try to put that all aside because he already has enough he deals with. I don't want him to have to come walking into a landmine, right when he walks in the door. Now, there are situations where I have to get him involved. Maybe one of the kids is being exceptionally stubborn and dad has a way of getting through to them. So I have him get involved. But for the most part, I try to put out the home fires when I'm home. So, but let's talk about children, what it means. Yeah, hormones. We all have them. So, hi, Janello. Hi, Jessica. Yeah. So let's talk about children. How can we implement this law of kindness to our children? Because I believe that our children are going to be even more sensitive to this than even our husbands, who, they're grown men. They can handle a bad mood now and then. But children, I think it really does affect them. I've tried to always remember this when raising my kids, is words hurt and can impact them for life. And I actually saw someone post about this on Facebook the other day, and they told a story about how one of their teachers said something hurtful to them when they were just probably 7 or 8. And to this day, they still remember that. And it was something along the lines of, the teacher asked for someone smart to do something, and someone volunteered her, and the teacher said, "Oh no, I mean someone really smart," acting like she wasn't smart enough. And she said that she's always remember that. She said, "I know I wasn't a genius, but I was good in school and I worked hard." So just little things like that can stick with us and kind of echo in your head. I remember being told things about my appearance growing up. From loved ones, just about how I would have to be careful about my weight because my metabolism was slow and, I couldn't let myself get fat. And I still remember that. And I do struggle. I have a very sluggish metabolism. I know everyone says it's the thyroid, but I seriously only have half my thyroid. I have half my thyroid. So I think it has to work overtime to make up for the other half that was taken out due to a goiter. So I I really don't eat much compared to the normal person, and I have to walk about 2 or 3 miles a day just to stay the weight I am, not even lose weight. So I have struggled with that my entire life. And I believe, having 8 kids in 20 years, that'll help definitely. But it's just something that I've had to overcome and not let that bog me down. But it's just shows how even stuff put into a kid's head when they're little, they'll remember that as they grow up. So I've always tried to remember that. When it comes to language that you speak to them, just remember that what you do in moderation, your kids are going to do in excess. And I see that even in my own life. Okay, when I was growing up, we were not allowed to say shut up, which I still don't like shut up. We were not allowed to say shut up. We were not allowed to say, see, I even have a hard time bringing myself to say it. CRAP, crap. We were not allowed to say BUTT. We were not allowed to say, even, we had, I don't know. It was just very, very, very mild language growing up. And that's something that was just in my head. And I just grew up knowing my mom drilled this in my head that ladies just don't use foul language. So I strive to be ladylike and I strive to be feminine. And that's just one thing I just won't do. And so because of that, I'm trying to raise my kids the same way. And I can already see them slipping because I'm not as strict as my mom. And they're already doing stuff, in excess when it comes to that. Now they don't use language. Obviously, that's a huge, huge, huge no-no. But they use words that I wasn't allowed to say when I was growing up. So just remember, whatever you do, though, your kids are going to do in moderation. And they're going to pick up if you have a little kid, if they hear you say a word, and there's all sorts of mixed feelings on crude language. But I just don't like crude language. And I feel like even with our girls, we need to teach them to be different than the world. And the world uses crude language. So it's one of the reasons that I won't have that app TikTok. My husband had gotten it to check out some videos or something. He was looking for some videos on something. I can't remember. And I was like scrolling through it and I was just disgusted. I was like, I kept scrolling. And I'm like, Tom, you need to get rid of this. It was bad. It was just foul language. So the world has that down. So as Christians, I really, truly believe we need to be different and we need to raise our daughters to be ladies. And sorry, I'm old fashioned. I don't think ladies should use crude language. So, but one of the ways that you can try to speak or have the law of kindness when it comes to your kids is positive reinforcement. Just the other day, I told one of my girls that she had been so good and she had had such a good attitude that day. And I told her that, in her face, it was so cute. It just lit up with this huge smile. And I feel like me just complimenting her and telling her that went so much further than even the negative enforcement of a spanking or something for what she had done wrong. So yes, discipline your kids and have lines and have boundaries, but also positively reinforce them when you see them doing something good. I think that really, really goes far. And that's just a way to speak kindly to them because they really need it. They're like these little sponges. They soak up everything. And then they're like little flowers. Like you shower positive affirmation and positive stuff on them, they just bloom and blossom. But if you're constantly just don't do this, don't do that, discipline, spank, whatever, you can kind of see them wilting. And you really can. You can just see them wilting and then see them just blossom again and smile when they are told something positively about how they've been acting. I really believe that mothers shape their girls' self-esteem and a lot of how your daughter, not all. I mean, we cannot accept children still have to choose to follow God and all that as they get older. We cannot take the blame for everything. They still have a choice. But I do believe that mothers do shape their girls' self-esteem in a lot of areas. So if you're constantly picking on physical features or harping on them about something, never giving them, praise or thank you for helping me out. Thank you for all you've done around the house, different things like that. I do believe they will grow up lacking a sense of self-worth in a way. So you can disagree with me on that. That's fine. But yeah, thank them for everything that they do around the house. My girls help out a lot. I couldn't do half. I couldn't do 95% of what I do without my girls' help. So definitely thank them. And then recognizing their strengths. Recognizing their strengths. And that would just come with, just positively reinforcing when they do something good and, along those lines. Remember their age. Remember that your little, 1-year-old or 2-year-old is not and should not be expected to act like an 8 or 9-year-old. A lot of the communication is not there. I truly believe that the whole communication thing, even just understanding verbally, auditory, does not fully click until they're about 3. So up until the age they're learning about you, you're learning about them. Give each other some grace. Definitely have your definite yeses and nos and things that, okay, we are not fighting over this. Like bedtime, you're going to bed. That's a big one in our house. But maybe it's something different in your house. Definitely have that. But then also remember, I was too tough on my older ones, and they will tell you that. And they'll also say, and you're too, you're way too, you spoil the younger ones. But I think we just learn as we grow that, you can't expect perfection out of a 1-year-old. It's just not attainable, and it's not fair to expect that of them. The oldest usually bears the brunt of that, because I do believe us as parents, we've forgotten, obviously, what it's like to be 1. And we expect them to act much older than what they are. So definitely have age appropriate discipline, and just soak up the years. It's going to be you're not going to have that much time with them. You literally have about 18 years to instill character and kindness and all this stuff into your child. And it may seem like it's a long time, but it's not. I have a 20, almost 19, and a 17-year-old, and that's crazy to me. So it goes really, really fast. Let's say that you're having a really bad day and you're having a hard time talking kind because your hormones are growing crazy, everything's going wrong, everything's breaking. And then your 2-year-old decides to throw a ball in the house and breaks your cabinet, a glass cabinet that you have. Walk away before you do something that you regret. I've had to do that before. Something very near and dear to me was broken, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago, and I heard it. I came out, I saw what happened, and I just turned around and walked into my room and shut my door and cried. I couldn't deal with it at that point. I knew I would do damage to the one that had done it, and I would say things I would regret, and I had to remove myself from the situation. So if that happens, there is no harm in going off by yourself. If your husband's home, give him the babies, go off by yourself and collect yourself, and then deal with it when you're calmer. And that works for anything in life. If you have a situation you feel you are going to do damage to someone else, as far as words, I'm talking physically, like get in a fight or something. I would hope you're not doing that, but just walk away and take some time to calm yourself. And I've failed in this. Kids are destructive, and I have failed when something cherished or something special to me has gotten broken, and I've yelled and I've lost it, and I've regret it. I regret it every time. So in order to not regret it, we have to take steps so that won't happen again. So if it's, if something really, really bad happens, just walk away. Learn your kid's personality, learn what is going to make them thrive and what really hurts them. I have some kids that I could yell at till I'm blue in my face, and they would just sit there and be like, is that all you got? And then I have other kids I just have to look at like that, and they're done for. So learn their personality. What should we do if our husband yells and is mean to the kids? I would approach him in private and talk to him about how that bothers you. If that doesn't work, then I don't know. That's really tough because that's a situation where, what do you mean by mean? Just like in yells with his words. Now you can definitely try to even calm him down by just a slight touch on his arm. A lot of times that has a calming effect. Or I help you, it's hard to say when I don't know the situation and I've only seen one side of the story. So do you mean just mean verbally? I would hope you mean just mean verbally, not abusive mean, obviously. Okay, with words, putting them down. Yeah, that's really tough. I would definitely approach him with kindness and tell him how much that bothers you. And, just try to, first of all, what is he saying to them? Is it something that needs to be worked on? Look at it that way objectively, and maybe try working on the things that he's talking about that are really bothering him, or have a discussion with him about both things. Approach him, say, can I talk to you about something? This has really been bothering me. When you're this way to the kids, can you let me know what we can work on at home? Why is this bothering you so much, and what do we need to work on? And then maybe there's just something that has really been irritating him and he doesn't know any other way but to yell and put down the kids. It also could be some kind of passive aggressive tactic where he wants you to work on something with the kids, and maybe you haven't talked about that. Keep the lines of communication open with your spouse. You got to talk about this stuff, you know, get down in the nitty gritty and really talk this stuff out. A lot of times when husbands direct things to the kids, it's a passive aggressive way to get you to do something. So what does he want you to work on, with the kids? Just have a discussion about it, and then, work on it with the kids, and then give them positive reinforcement when they do it. Your dad would be so proud. I'm so proud of you. Just really positively reinforce it. Point it out to their dad. They did this. They were so good here. They were so good here. Point out the good things that your kids are doing to their dad in front of them so that they can hear that. So that's the advice I would give. Like I said, it's hard not knowing the situation, but those are the things I've noticed in life with that. Before you tell your kids something, before you talk to them, think, how would this make me feel? If someone came up to me and was like, would you move it? You're so slow. You're such a, whatever. How would that make you feel? Would that make you feel horrible? Then don't do it to your kid. Obviously, there's going to be time for tough love when you do need to get tough. But if you have balance in your life and you've been giving them the positive reinforcement and you've been showing them that you love them, they will take that tough love at times where you need to get personal and say, you need to change this in your life. As parents, it is our job to shape our kids and mold our kids and root out the bad behaviors so that it doesn't affect them as they grow to be adults. Root out that laziness, especially in boys, root out character problems, root out character flaws that are going to affect them as they grow older and they get a job and interact with people. So there is a time for tough love, but you definitely need to balance that with affection, and just keeping in perspective, how old they are, what are your expectations? Are they too high? If you feel like you're just constantly mad at your children and you're just spanking them all the time and you're just so frustrated, reevaluate, do you have too high of expectations? Is there something off in the home? Is the balance off? Is the discipline way up here and the affection and love is way down here? So it's always a reevaluating with parenting and being a mom and your kids. And believe me, every night of my life, I'm reevaluating. So that's what I do. But what about social media? When it comes to social media, if you guys have any other questions or comments, maybe you can help Denise out. If you have any comments or questions, just leave it in the chat. Social media can be okay. So I was talking about this with someone at our church yesterday, and they were saying, I hope the grade goes down and we never have social media again or something. But I happen to like social media, and I've always said this, and I still always will. I'm late to the social media game. I just got Facebook like 4 years ago or something. So when I came into this, I was very naive. Um, I'm still shocked to this day by how I see some Christians acting on social media. I was very, very naive when I came into the social media realm. But since I've been on there, I've learned a lot. And I've learned that social media really shows what's in the heart. So it shows anger problems, it shows bitterness problems, it shows pride problems, it shows narcissistic tendencies. I think social media has created a generation of narcissists who are seeking for attention and seeking for any type of fame or whatever that they can get. I mean, everyone wants the next viral video on TikTok, right? So I really think that it has created a generation of narcissists. And I was very naive, and I just kind of believed everything when I first came to social media. I believed that people were who they said they were. And, you know, and I soon learned a lot of things. There was a lot of things that happened when I first came on social media that really taught me a lot of lessons. So I'm definitely a bit more skeptical with things that go on social media. But just remember, everything is public. Everything is public. There are people who want to catch you in anything, and they will screenshot everything you say. So keep that in mind. Even when private messaging with someone, I don't ever say anything in private messages that I would not want the whole world to read or to see, because probably the whole world will read or see it. I'm very skeptical because of things that have happened in the last 2 years. And so I'm very, very careful when, just messaging people or whatever. Put your name behind it. I am a firm believer in no anonymous accounts, because I truly believe that your name holds you accountable. Cassandra McMurtry means a lot to me. My name means a lot to me. And I think that's part of my upbringing. Hi, Ashley. Sorry, I know you're here right at 7, but I had to go early tonight. Cassandra McMurtry means a lot to me. A lot of that was my upbringing, where it was rammed in my head. Your name is so important, your testimony. But not only that, Cassandra is the name that my dad gave me, who's now in heaven. Cassandra is the name that my mom and dad picked out, especially for me, and it holds a special meaning to them. And I want to bring my mom and dad honor, and I still respect them, and I don't want to put down the family name at all. So, I never wanted my name to be in the newspaper for being arrested or something, or associated with something illegal, or it's just I've tried protecting that name. So because of that, when I leave a comment, where on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, when I leave a comment, my name behind that holds me accountable to what that comment is. So I don't have any anonymous accounts. I have never left any comments with anonymous accounts. I don't believe in them. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it with my name. And anyone that knows me in real life knows that's my personality. I'm not going to hide behind someone else or a fake account or something. That's just a personal belief. You don't have to have it. That's mine, though. That's my personal belief. I just don't do anonymous accounts, because I truly believe that we even need to strive to be kind. Even when we disagree with someone, we don't need to call names or be a jerk or whatever. We still need to strive to be kind to that person. And I think having your name behind that is going to help for sure, because I've stumbled upon some pretty nasty anonymous accounts, and I've figured out who some of those anonymous accounts are. And I think they use an anonymous account because they're being mean about me or my husband or whatever, and they don't want that out, that's behind their name. So you have to be really careful. And I think using your name, your real name, will prevent you from being nasty, prevent you from being mean. So I'm a firm believer in not using anonymous accounts. And I appreciate the ones that are honest while keeping a sense of integrity while they're doing it. I appreciate people like that. I appreciate people that I can have disagreements with who won't resort to name calling and who will keep it civil and keep it ladylike. And if they're a lady, obviously not if they're a guy. I respect guys who will have a disagreeing discourse with a woman, you know? And a lot of men have this twisted sense of superiority and authority where every woman has to submit to them. So because of this, she's not even allowed to disagree with him on social media, which is just really weird and over the top. And they have this thing that women are never allowed to defend their husbands. When you look in the Bible, actually, if you look biblically, there's a lot of women that were spoken very highly of that defended their husbands. And some of them were even defending men that weren't even very good. And so when you have a godly husband that you want to defend, I see nothing biblically wrong with that. That's my opinion once again. And but a lot of men have a very twisted sense of every woman needs to submit to me, and it's really weird. But I appreciate even a man who will remain civil and, won't resort to name calling or calling me Jezebel or, just saying, go make a sandwich in the kitchen, whatever. So, and there are some women who disagree with a woman even voicing her opinion on social media or any of those, and that's fine too. If your husband disagrees, then by all means listen to your husband. But my husband is fine with me being opinionated and fine with me leaving comments, on Facebook or wherever, and he's my husband, and that's the only one that I have to submit to. So same goes for you in your marriage. If your husband doesn't like it, don't do it. But if he's fine with it, then go for it. So when it comes to church, that's just social media. My main thing with social media is just remember everyone has a life story. Everyone has something going on in their life behind that little, picture, that little profile picture. There is a real person with a real story, with real problems and with real hurts and with real sorrows. So just remember that nothing is anonymous. Everything is public. And once you put it out there, it's out there forever because someone will take a screenshot the second it lands. So just remember that. When it comes to church, just remember to have lots of grace. We're all imperfect people trying to get along. We all have different personalities. We are all in different times of the month. So you're going to have some women that are very hormonal, and then some women who feel great, and then some women who don't have to worry about that anymore. So you're going to have all this mix of people, and you just need to learn to have a lot of grace with each other. Give the benefit of the doubt. Don't think just because you walked into a room and there was two women quietly talking, and when you walked in, they stopped talking. Don't just they were talking about me. They were gossiping about me. I just know it. They stopped talking when I came in the room. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were just, telling each other something that they didn't want the whole, church to know. They didn't want it leaking out. Not saying that you would tell the whole church, but they just only wanted a select person or select friend to know. So, just give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were planning a surprise birthday party for you. You never know. That actually happened to me. I came in and they were talking and just stopped instantly. And I was like thinking something is really weird. They were acting really weird. And I just tried not to think about it. I'm like, well, and the people that were doing it was like my sister-in-law and my closest friend in the church. So I knew they weren't talking bad about me. I just thought it was really sus. And so I just kind of let it go, and come to find out they were planning a surprise 30th birthday party for me. So that was the answer for that. Put out fires when it comes to your church and having the law of kindness. Don't cause the fires in your church. Don't be the one that you're in the middle of all the drama. Well, I heard it from Cassandra. And then the next week, well, I heard it from, I said sus because I have teenagers. That's why. I didn't even know what sus meant. They had to explain it to me. But yeah, I have an eyelash in my eye. I can feel it. Not cool. But yeah, just don't be the one in the middle of all the fires. Every time there's drama and your pastor's wife has to get involved, you're in the center of it. Try to be the one that's the peacemaker. I'm always trying to be the peacemaker. If I can sense hurt feelings, so I'll try to kind of calm things down or redirect conversation, or, well, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. You don't know. Because I like everything just smooth sailing. I don't want fights. And, I just want us to all get along because I like everybody, and I want it to be nice and smooth. And I know there will be bumps along the way. We're all human. We all get upset over silly things sometimes. But I try to put out the fires. You don't pour gas on it and watch it explode. Try to be unoffendable. That's my life's mission. I try to be unoffendable. It's really hard to offend me. You have to pretty much be out to get my husband or me or my kids, because I will defend them. That's silly to not think that I'm going to defend them if you're going after them, especially when I know it's lies or, railing or whatever. But when it comes to people in my personal life that know me and are close to me, my church, my family, my friends, be unoffendable, and try not to let things get to you. For me personally, it doesn't bother me as much when someone comes after me. It's my family. And that's just the mama bear in me. Sorry, and I think most moms on here would be that way. Most wives on here would be that way. So Tommy, why are you even listening to this? He's like, kind of sus that you just said sus. Well, sus. It's just nice way to do it. Okay, so then esteem others better than yourself. Always try to think, how can I help this person? And along with this, maybe in church, try to do things for others that isn't necessarily seen of men, but will help them out. Send them a card, text them, tell them you're thinking about them, tell them you're praying about them. Little things that you can do to esteem others better than yourself. Forgive people. Sometimes we all have bad days and things are said that weren't meant to necessarily come after you. Don't hold on to that grudge, and don't constantly replay it in your head. Well, they said this about me. They said this about me. They said that. Just, forgive them. You want to be forgiven when you mess up. So forgive them. Be careful at different times of the month. If you're just having a really bad day and everything's gone wrong on a Wednesday, and you show up and the kids are horrible during the service and you have to leave like 5 times with the screaming child, just calmly and quietly leave. After church, you don't have to stay around to fellowship while you're dealing with screaming kids. You can go home and put them to bed and soak in the bathtub with a bath bomb. You don't have to put yourself through that. So if it's just a bad day, just leave quietly and calmly. I've had to do that before. Kids, as soon as church is done, we got to get out of here. I know I need to go home in my pajamas. And it's not that I don't love everyone at church. I do. We spend a lot of time with each other. But there's just some things, in order to keep that law of kindness, in order not to, I don't know, have an outburst or whatever, you just need to know your limits, and you need to know where you're at, during the month. And if you need to, you just need to go home and take a bath by yourself, light a candle, listen to music, just, that's the most important thing, I think, with this whole thing. To keep this law of kindness, we need to be very, very aware and very in tune with what's going on, because hormones and emotions play a huge part in keeping that law of kindness. So, oh, I'm sorry, Jordan. She said, haven't been to church in so long. Didn't think they'd appreciate me bringing a colicky baby. I don't care if you brought a colicky baby here. I think most people would just want you to come. I don't think they'd mind the colicky baby. I bet you miss it. I can't stay away from church. I have to be there. It's like my air. I have to breathe. I have to be there. So, hi. Oh, okay. That is Beth. Hi, Beth. You and Denise Flores, your little picture looks it's very similar. That's why I always have to double look when you come on the chat. And then be approachable. Don't make it to where women have to walk on eggshells around you. Just have that law of kindness in your tongue all the time, and just be approachable. If they have a problem they need to talk to you about, be there for them. And then obviously one of the biggest things with church and our friends is just don't gossip. Just don't put someone else down to another lady in the church. Realize that we all have our faults. We all have areas we could work on. Um, I remember when I was younger and we were at our other church, a lot of times I would feel so guilty because I had 3 tiny little kids. And so I couldn't really help around with much of the church stuff a lot of times. And some of the older ladies could, who didn't have as many little kids as me. And there was one lady in particular, she would make like little comments about it, or and I was always at church. I was always helping out where I could, but a lot of times I would have to take a break to go chase after a kid, and that's fine. They were my main ministry. Raising those 3 little kids were my main ministry. I couldn't, be involved in VBS like some of the other ladies could, because I had 3 little kids, 3 and under to chase, and I was so tired. And this is back when I was still dealing with a chronic illness. I've gone on to since have it cured, so I actually have a little more energy now than I did back then. But it was a chronic illness with my liver. And so I was just always tired and and so sometimes it was everything in me just to get up and help clear off tables and, whatever it came to. So I remember that now, being older, and because I remember how that is. It is, you feel a sense like I need to be helping, but you're just so tired and you have all these little kids. And so I try to keep that in mind too. Now that and I'm still chasing after kids. I'm 41 is still chasing after kids. So I still don't even feel like I can help out as much here. And I feel like there's so many ladies that outdo me when it comes to cleaning up and different things like that. And ladies, I'm telling you, when my youngest gets a little older and I'm not chasing after a 1-year-old anymore, I'll be right in there with you. But that helps me keep it in perspective. And, I do what I can, but remember that the kids are your biggest priority. You got to keep them alive. You got to know where they're at all times. You got to be chasing after them. So different things in your life shape your opinions. Different things in your life shape your beliefs. And I still remember what it was like to be a mom of many littles. And so I try to have a lot of grace with moms of many littles. It's exhausting. It's tiring. You're not getting a lot of sleep. So because of that, maybe you're shorter with your words. And it is harder, for you to keep that law of kindness in your mouth. But just remember that you're raising a human being with a soul and a spirit and feelings and emotions. And they're going to remember a lot as they're growing up. Now, I'm not even saying I don't remember every hurtful thing that was said to me as I was growing up. I just remember a select few. Maybe I was having a really bad day when they were said, and that's why it's burned in my mind. And I think most of you too, there's a couple things that might stick out to you. We don't remember everything. So you're not going to like ruin your kids if you have a bad day. I don't want to put like all this guilt on you, because I would ruin my kids then because I've had bad days and I've yelled and I've lost it and I've said things that I regretted. So I'm not putting all this pressure on you to be like, I have to be perfect all the time. We all mess up. But the thing is, just don't make it a chronic problem. Don't be blowing up and saying really hurtful things to your kids day after day after day after day. They're going to know, that you've messed up once a month, once every other month. They're going to understand. Kids are a lot more understanding and forgiving than we give them credit for. And I do know that if you balance it with love and positive affirmation, that's going to outweigh it. And that's going to be what they mainly remember, if you're a good balanced person. So don't think, oh no, I'm going to mess up my kid. I'm going to mess them up forever if I lose it, one of these days. I don't want you thinking that. Just pick yourself up and do better the next day. Just keep these things in mind, slow to anger, slow to speak, be aware of certain times of the month, and then be careful, of your tone, of, the way that you talk. Just try to keep that law of kindness in your tongue every day of the month. And if you slip up, just acknowledge it, move on and do better. So that's really all we can do, because none of us are perfect. None of us have arrived. I'm definitely not. Like I said, I'm constantly reevaluating every night when I go to bed. I'm thinking, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? I think the people that think they have arrived are sadly mistaken. And those are usually the ones that need the most work. So I definitely have not arrived, and I'm a work in progress. Tommy will tell you that he was just listening. Tommy will tell you that, mom was the strictest on me, whatever. Well, you know what, Tommy, I turned out a good kid, so don't complain. He's he's a good kid, and he loves his mama, if he's still listening. So whatever. But it's just, I showered that boy with kisses and called him my little Dash, because he loved a Dash. He would try to run fast like Dash, and that was what he would say. It'd be like, hey mom, look at me, I'm running fast like Dash. And then he'd try to run fast like Dash. And I'd be like, oh, you're amazing, that's awesome, you're such a great runner, or whatever. So you need to do that with little boys, and then keep telling them as they get older. So I like both my boys. I like all my girls. I like the kids. Just like the kids. Enjoy the kids that God gave you. That's why I'm doing this early, so I can go home and cuddle my babies before I go. So, oh, sorry, Sarah. You can go back and listen later. But I hope you all have a great week. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up now. And we will see you next Monday. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. Maybe I'll get some inspiration this week. I just thought of this like an hour ago. So that was cute. That's cute, Amber. I know they all do that. It's like a contest to see how fast they can run, right? That's really cute. All right, ladies, if you have any suggestions, please put them down in the chat. The hardest thing for me or in the comments, I'm sorry. The hardest thing for me is figuring out the topic. I don't want to keep redoing things. I can only talk for so long, and who even wants to hear me talk that long, right? So I'm not a preacher where I can preach for like an hour and a half and keep coming up with stuff to say. So plus I'm just a work in progress myself. So there are some things that I would like to talk about, different topics, but I've never been through them. If I've never been through something or have advice, I'm not going to teach on it. I think that's silly. I will try to get women on, though, that have been through that. So that is my goal for this year, is to bring different women on that have been through different things in their life that I have not been, so that we can talk about different subjects. But if you have any subject matter, please leave it down in the comments. And I hope you guys have a good week. I will be having a good week with my sister, the one right below me. She's only 2.5 years younger than me, so she's almost been around my whole life. I really like her. So I'm going to have fun with her. And y'all, you ladies, have a great week, and we will see you next Monday.